You're not going to smell like anyone on the planet. Whether that's a good thing or not, your call. Greetings, Earthlings and Frag Commies. My name is Luke. I am Poe. Welcome to another edition of Luke is Poe Fragrance Reviews, the place where ultimately you'll be disappointed. But if you're looking for an honest fragrance review, you've come to the right place. And I've got the credentials to back it up, okay? I don't want to, just toot my own horn. But I'm going to. My mom voted me her favorite fragrance reviewer for 2020. I know. I wasn't even her fragrance reviewer in 2019. That would have been Joy Amin, but he's such a gentleman. He's so charming. I can't even get mad at her for that. Here today, we're going to be talking about hidden gem fragrances, but not the sort of hidden gems that you hear about all the time on every fragrance reviewer's channel, because they're not so hidden, are they? And then we're talking about like the Nautica Voyages or the Encre Noirs. These are very good value for the price. I encourage you guys to check those out, but the cat's out of the bag. I'm not sure why we were stuffing cats in bags in the first place. These are fragrances that price-wise are affordable, but they're going to smell much more expensive than their price point. And they're also not going to smell like really anything else that you're going to smell, but in a good way. Sometimes we get really balls deep into the unique territory, and then definitely you're unique, but not in the best of ways. You there, lad, have you smelled today's fragrance? It smells just like the fine hairs on the backhand of a warthog from Madagascar. Sir, this is a Wendy's. First up on the list is a fragrance that is not really a secret amongst fragrance reviewers or Fragcom in general. It is the least hidden of the hidden gems on this list, but it is so unique and it is very attractive. It's good, pleasant smelling, adjectives here and there, that it would be remiss if I were not to mention it. And that is Alfred Dunhill Icon. This is a fragrance that opens up with vetiver and black pepper, but you're also going to get some lavender and some citrus to sweeten things up. It is both sweet and dry at the same time. It is both spicy and aromatic at the same time with the touch of woods. This is a fragrance that's going to give you a barbershop aromatic fougere sort of vibe. It opens up with lavender, citrus, petitgrain. It's also got some vetiver and some black pepper. But after that vibe of the barbershop aromatic fougere genre, it goes a completely different direction. And some people get this grape soda opening right off the top. I don't really get that. I do know, however, that a lot of people do drugs. Next up on the list is the cheapest fragrance that we'll be discussing on this episode. It is a fragrance that, for the price point, I'm not really sure how they created this because it does not smell cheap. It is Gentleman by Oscar de la Renta. Despite its funky appearance, it seems to be a bottle that either you love or you hate, but it is a fragrance that's going to open up with a very unique champagne accord. And that champagne is going to be both kind of sweet and dry, but you're also going to get some cardamom, and you're going to get some leather, and you're going to get some amber in the dry down. It is a fragrance that smells very gentlemanly, hence the frickin' name. It is a fragrance that really doesn't smell like anything else that I own. If I had to compare it to anything, I might say it was a toned down Terre de Hermes, the original EDT. It is a fragrance that doesn't have that orange, earthy feel to it, but it is in that kind of Terre de Hermes ballpark. But I think this one might be a bit more youthful, a bit more accessible than the original Terre de Hermes. Longevity on this one is underwhelming, probably about the 4-hour mark. You'll need to reapply. When you first spray it though, the projection is good for about the first 45 minutes to an hour, and then it starts to sit closer to the skin. But at this price point, you guys, I think I got this from fragrancebuy.ca for $11, maybe $12. And at that price point, I mean, Slather it on, baby. That was the first words I ever said to my wife. This next fragrance on the list is 24 Gold. That's not what it is. 24 Gold is well of a hidden secret, hidden gem as Ashton's new fragrance line. I haven't tried it yet, but the word is out. This one is from the same house though, and it's 24 Go Dark. This one is a dark fragrance, hence the frickin' name once again, but it's also green. And that's something that you don't really see too often in perfumery. And it's also got a fair amount of sweetness, but it's not going to veer off into gourmand territory. Shout outs to Glamfine for pointing this one in my direction. I've had it for about a month now. It is the newest addition to my collection out of this list, but so far really enjoying this one. This one's quite unique, like I said. It's going to open up with some patchouli, some sage, and lavender. There's your greenness. And then it's going to dry down to vanilla and leather and amber. It has a warm richness in the dry down, but also has this kind of fresh greenery, herbaceousness, let's say, in the opening. It is a fragrance that if I were to tell you about it just as I have, you'd probably be like, that doesn't sound too great. But you kind of have to sniff it to experience it. And it is something that doesn't smell like anything else in my collection. This does not have the same beast mode that 24 Gold or 24 Gold Oud Edition has, but longevity and performance are still really, really good. It is going to last for 9 to 10 hours, and it is going to be, I wouldn't say loud, but it is going to project nicely for the first 2.5, 3 hours. This one is hovering around the $30 mark. I think I picked mine up for $35 from fragrancebuy.ca. But for the price, it is quality, and it is something that is so unique. If you like green fragrances or if you like darker fragrances, this is one that I really recommend you try. That brings us to Narciso Rodriguez for him PDP. This is a fragrance that I've featured multiple times before on this channel. The hardcore frag head might argue this is not a hidden gem, and I could see that. But then again, most of the newbies to the collection probably haven't heard of this one, and that's why I've added it to the list. This is a fragrance that showcases the note of musk better than any other men's fragrance I've come across. Other than that, it's got violet, patchouli, and amber. I don't get a whole lot of amber even on the dry down. To me, this one is all about violet and musk. It does have a powdery feel to it. Maybe not as powdery as maybe like a Burberry Brit for him, but it does have a powdery aspect to it. It is also more on the floral side of things as far as fragrances go. But for those of you who are trying to see what else is out there, in the word florals kind of scares you in men's fragrances, this is the one to maybe try and kind of dip your feet into the floral water. You will find this fragrance on a lot of lists in the springtime, and that's certainly one of my favorite times to wear this, but I find myself wearing it all year round just because it is so unique. And I do love that musk note so much. It is probably best worn in fall and spring, but you can certainly get away with it wearing it all year round. Performance on this is okay. It's probably about 5 to 6 hours longevity, and projection is really good for the first hour, and then it starts to really sit closer to the skin after that. And then there was one. The number one unique smelling hidden gem cheapie comes from the house of Lalique, because of course it does. If you don't know, Lalique makes some of the best fragrances for the ridiculously low prices. We all know about Encre Noir and the Noir line. This one is Lalique Hommage à l'Homme. I think that's how you say it. I originally wanted to say Lalique Hommage à Home Alone, but my wife just said that's your Ozarks coming out, and that's don't do that on camera. So I didn't. You're welcome, wife. This one opens up really nice with violet, cardamom, bergamot. It's immediately going to kind of bring you into that barbershop aromatic fougere frame of mind. But as it dries down, it kind of goes more of the warm, spicy route. It also is going to get a touch powdery. It's a fragrance, simply put, that makes you feel like $1 million. I think if you are looking for a fragrance that is going to go really well when you are dressed to the nines, this is it, especially when you're not going to have to break the bank. It's a fragrance that I got for $18. It is one that the more I wear it, the more I fall in love with it. And the more I just can't even wrap my mind around it. It is a fragrance that is very complex, and it takes you a while to kind of fully understand its nuances. Not to get all brag comment on you guys, but that's really the truth of it. If there's any fragrance on this list, I would say go out and buy this one now. It would be this one. Performance on this is average. It's probably 4 to 5 hours longevity, and it's going to sit closer to the skin, maybe about 30 minutes of projection. But I think what this fragrance kind of represents, or what it was intended for, in my opinion at least, is to be more of a gentlemanly, dressed up fragrance. And in my personal opinion, those are the fragrances that are more subtle and not so brash or bold or in the face. It does rely on violet and musk pretty heavily, but not in the same way at all like Narciso Rodriguez for him EDT. It is its own scent in every right. It is going to probably remind you a lot of those barbershop aromatic fougères, but it really can't even be in that category either. It is a fresh, woody, spicy, gentlemanly, aromatic, fougere-ish sort of fragrance. And if that sounds up your alley, I really encourage you guys to check that one out, especially since we're buying gifts, right? This holiday season, we're having to get Aunt Martha and your creepy Uncle Kevin gifts, and so there's just less money for your fragrance habit. And so if your bank account's in the red because of ho 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 and reindeer and you know, Kwanzaa, this is a fragrance that won't break the bank trying to get this one in your collection. That is going to wrap things up for me today, Frag Commies. Thank you for joining me in another edition of Lucas Poe Fragrance Reviews. What did I leave off the list? If there's anything that came to your mind that I missed out, I would love to hear from you below in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because, you know, that's what YouTubers say. Yes.